Hello, dear friends, I am with you. Sofya Dorinskaya. I am a psychiatrist and the head of the Medical Information Center. Today I want to answer questions from our viewers, people who write to the channel, and people who contact me from the website. How does your test work? Tell us what kind of work it is and how you achieve such results. So let's start from the beginning. The test contains more than 200 questions, and it also includes sections where a person describes their own history. It is essential to take into account the person's use of medications and various illnesses, whether the condition is acute or chronic, whether they have ever been seen by a doctor, and so on, and for what reason. The test is processed by a person, that is, by me. The test is never and will never be mechanized because all the answers a person writes in the test must be evaluated specifically within the overall context of that individual. In other words, it is not something detached from the specific person. And when all this data is collected, including the medications a person takes, the illnesses, and any additional information they provide about themselves, at the end of the form, as those who have received it have seen, there is a separate section where you can write down any additional thoughts or events that the person was unable to describe in the test. And once all of this has been evaluated, the person receives a recommendation, specifically a personal recommendation tailored to their particular case. After that, the person goes to the pharmacy and buys the recommended medications. In different countries, these medications are sold in different places. In Russia, it's pharmacies. In Europe, it's so-called drogeries. These are semi-cosmetic stores that also sell vitamins. Or it could be supermarkets, because large supermarkets always have a section, a vitamin department, and that's where you can buy them. After that, the person sends in the purchase form. We have a special purchase form so that it's clear what exactly they bought and that it matches their recommendations. And then they receive a calculation specifically for the medications they purchased. And then the 20 days of supervision begin. Supervision means guiding the person. During this time, we communicate with the person in writing. Supervision is always conducted in writing for one simple reason. First of all, this allows me not to forget anything. No details, no questions the person asked, no reactions. He receives them when he follows the protocol, so absolutely everything is preserved. That's the first reason. Second, the supervision data is evaluated in the context of the overall situation of this particular case. The case is like an instance. It's already a fairly common word. A case is like an instance, meaning all this supervision data is evaluated specifically in relation to the situation he described in the test. If necessary, we ask questions and so on. To put it in another way, the entire supervision process is meticulously conducted in a written format, and then based on a series of comprehensive and repeated evaluations, and on how the person gradually progresses through the deficiency correction program, and our specialized test is designed to accurately identify the specific physical manifestations of nutrient deficiencies. In many of my videos, I have said that nutrient deficiencies are special conditions in which the body suffers. And in these conditions, there may be no obvious pathology. A person goes to doctors, seems to be healthy, but feels very unwell. So, deficiency states are exactly those conditions that are determined by external signs, by outward manifestations. And it is precisely these manifestations, what is happening inside the body's cells, that our test is aimed at. During the follow-up test, we observe how the person is progressing toward our goal, our shared goal. The purpose of conducting our test is to eliminate nutrient deficiencies. And here we get a significantly greater amount of detailed information about the individual. Because at this stage, if there is a problem, it becomes increasingly apparent, clearly visible, and fully exposed to observation. Now we must ask ourselves, what exactly is the fundamental problem with these deficiency states? The problem is that a person may have a specific type of underlying viral or bacterial infection which the body is unable to cope with. It eats away at life, it destroys the person's body, but the doctor cannot detect it because the body does not have enough strength, enough resources to reveal it or to attack it in any way. I have already read to you the thesis from the World Health Organization's report, the 1978 Nutrition Report, where the World Health Organization and its specialists note that in deficiency states, in cases of nutritional deficiencies, protein deficiencies, and vitamin deficiencies, the body, even when suffering from the most severe infectious diseases, such as tuberculosis, for example, can produce false negative results. This means that a person may have tuberculosis, but under conditions of nutrient deficiency, the body does not detect it. In other words, tests do not show that the person has tuberculosis. And we very often encounter situations where once a person starts a vitamin regimen, these hidden infectious diseases begin to manifest. These can be bacterial or viral infections, or helminthic invasions, various infectious diseases. And here it becomes obvious that the person's body is suffering. Naturally, the disease is treated by a doctor. That is, of course, we refer the person to a doctor. If it is a helminthic invasion, we send them to a parasitologist, a therapist, and so on. The doctor examines the person, prescribes the necessary treatment, the person undergoes their treatment, and then returns to us cured to address their deficiencies. Whether or not to take a vitamin regimen depends on the specific situation, the particular illness, and the doctor's recommendations. Because when a person is being treated by a doctor, the doctor's recommendations always take priority. The doctor's recommendations are paramount. This is very important. When a person finishes their treatment, they return to us, and we fully address any remaining nutrient deficiencies they may have, including those that could have arisen as side effects from the medications prescribed by the doctor. And then, when everything is fine, we provide the person with a tapering regimen, and essentially they are sent off to live their life. Because our primary goal is to take the problem, resolve it completely and effectively, and then send the person on their way. In other words, we have absolutely no desire or intention whatsoever of keeping people with us permanently. I want to take a moment to read you a few inspiring stories and share some impressive results about how people work with us to change their lives. Sofya, hello, I want to share some joyful news with you. The thing is, the vitamins and examinations you prescribed really helped my sister. I don't know what happened, but my sister came to her senses. Her hallucinations disappeared, and it's as if she regained consciousness. She started doing her daily tasks again, just like before, and is managing very well. She began remembering events and things from the previous day, just like she used to. Sometimes she still feels sad, but she quickly pulls herself together, doesn't cry anymore, and behaves appropriately. The next story is from Sofya. Hello, thank you so much, dear. We're continuing everything, no questions. I'm enjoying the results, especially with the toilet. I no longer have to chase after my son. He goes to the bathroom on his own now, without any reminders at all. You are simply the best, wonderful. But this is, of course, a big problem, especially considering that our little client was 8 years old. Next is Sofya. Hello, overall I feel fine. I would say it's stable, satisfactory, which makes me happy. The second month was a period of flare-ups for me, so there you go, I said it, yes. But I can't help but note that emotional stability has appeared. There are no more sudden drops for no reason, which used to happen before. So, as we can see, yes, the body has gained the resources to cope with a certain problem in this particular case. This is a 36-year-old woman, and we really are helping her get through it. All these periods when some illness manifests itself, naturally, as I've said before, we refer people to doctors if necessary. And in this way, the person comes out of their condition. I would truly like to say that completely eliminating any existing nutrient deficiencies and correcting the diet itself is the most reliable and safest possible approach that can be done. It is important to note that helping a person in this way is vital, because as we know, virtually all pharmaceutical medications have certain side effects that must be considered. But if we consistently supply the body with essential vitamins and nutrients, and simply give space for the natural forces, the inherent healing forces of nature itself, to work, because everything on our planet wants to live, Everything on our planet wants to live well, including our own bodies. And if our body is not living well, it means there are some factors that are holding back this good life. And all that needs to be done is to give the body the opportunity to remove the obstacles on the path to a good life. How? By giving it all the nutrients that this body needs. The body begins to cope with a certain situation and we help competently, or rather, not we, but the doctor. In this case, the doctor helps competently to deal with this medical situation, and by continuing to provide the body with the right nutrients in the right proportions, in a complete, fully tailored regimen for a specific person, we achieve the result that nature itself, if you can put it that way, moves forward and has the strength to restore that particular person's body. This person continues to live happily and healthily. I hope I have answered the questions about how our test works. This was Sofya Dorinskaya with you. Thank you.